Hello, it's Scott here from Digital Puppets, which is a UK animation studio, and I specialise in 2D puppetry animation. I've done lots of projects for companies such as Disney, Cartoon Network, the BBC, Beano, loads of projects for big corporations like that, and also lots of projects for YouTubers and businesses all around the world. To date, the main program I've been using is Adobe Character Animator. However, recently I've been using Reallusion Cartoon Animator 5 much more frequently. And because of this, people have been getting in touch and asking me, how do they compare? What's the pros, what's the cons, what are the differences? So I thought, instead of keep replying to everybody with the same answer, I would make one video, a comparison video, showing how Adobe compares to Reallusion. And let's get started. Right, so first of all, we're going to talk about the pipeline for Cartoon Animator 5 and Adobe Character Animator. We're going to look at what's similar, what's different, pros and cons. Both Reallusion Cartoon Animator 5 and Adobe Character Animator support importing assets from Photoshop and Illustrator, Illustrator being the vector version. Now with Adobe Character Animator, as far as I'm aware, I might be wrong about this, but in my experience, you generally are using Adobe product. With Cartoon Animator 5, I know it does support other programs other than Adobe. So if you're not an Adobe user, I suppose straight away that's a big tick, but maybe check into that. Anyway, you use them files to build up your character, and then you bring it into Cartoon Animator 5 or Character Animator. However, the workflow for each does differ, especially when it comes to character setup and rigging. In Adobe Character Animator, the character setup process is more complex, especially when manually tagging layers for things like head turns, lip syncing. Whilst this approach allows you to get a lot more creative control over a puppet build, and I have enjoyed making some really great TV grade puppets, I do realise for new comers that it might be a bit difficult and complex. So yes, for professionals, once you get your head around it, it does allow you to make really, you've got a lot of creative control that you can do some really impressive things. However, if you're new to animation, and the reason that people use programs like Cartoon Animator 5 and Character Animator because it's people wanting to get into animation, but for newcomers, the Adobe one can be a little bit more complex. On the other hand, Reallusion Cartoon Animator 5 really does simplify the rigging process a lot, and it does most of the work for the users. Basically, it provides the template and the pre-built rigs, which does really speed up the entire process. You can focus on customizing characters without worrying too much about the manual tagging or the complex rigging, making the process much faster and easier for new users, because basically all you're doing is you're layering everything up. And in Cartoon Animator 5, you just drag the dots into the place you want it to be, where in Adobe Character Animator you got to get into the program, and then you got to go through it layer at a time and place the dots yourself, and you got to know where to place them, and that's where the complication comes into it. So the big pro for Reallusion is that it takes a lot of the complication out of your rigging, and this means you can just get on with concentrating on your character, and it's a lot less confusing for new users. However, the big pro for Character Animator is that you have a lot more control over your rigging, and this means you can get creative with what you build if you are a professional builder. If you are a new builder, an amateur, it can be a little confusing. However, on the other hand, Animator 5 is really easy for new users, and it basically does everything for you, which means you can just concentrate on your character build. On the other hand, Cartoon Animator 5 is really easy for new users, as it basically does all the rigging for you, though customizing unique character builds can be more limiting. Character Animator, great for building complex rigs. Cartoon Animator 5 great for new users and easy to use. Right, let's get a little bit more into the rigging system. As mentioned, Adobe Character Animator can be quite time consuming when it comes to character setup, especially if you're not an experienced user. Manual tagging for actions like head turn, lip syncing, and add-on features like walking, body kinetics and more can become confusing and lead to errors. If you're working on a large project with many characters, this can become quite time consuming. Anyway, as I've already mentioned, Reallusion Cartoon Animator 5 offers a faster setup. The provided templates, along with the easy to use smart rigging system, allows you to get characters up and running really quick. Plus, Cartoon Animator 5 offers pre-configured actions like head turns, lip syncing, saving you time and reducing the risk of mistakes. Though, be warned, these do sometimes need refining, but it is actually quite easy to do. So, Cartoon Animator 5 strength, faster and more efficient setup with templates. Character Animator strengths, highly customizable but slower and mistakes are more easy to make. Now let's dive into the visual advantages of both these programs. Reallusion provides several key features that allow for really nice fluid, polished animation, such as freeform deformation, and the program is called FFD. Anyway, this allows for smooth head turning, facial expressions, and overall animation flexibility. You can add cartoon exaggeration to your character movements, making them more dynamic and expressive. The 360 head turn particularly is something that a lot of people are really interested in, and it is the thing that got me interested in Cartoon Animator 5 as an alternative program. Cartoon Animator 5 also offers a much easier setup for spring dynamics, which can be applied to things like hair or clothing to give a more natural dynamic feel. In comparison, Adobe Character Animator does have limited physics, which limits its ability to create more natural, customizable, exaggerated movements. Overall, Cartoon Animator 5 wins in this category. The deformation and the secondary animation actions you can apply to your puppet allows for a lot more customization. Character Animator physics are a little bit more basic. You don't have as much control over them. In this category, this is a win for Reallusion. So let's get into trigger animation, because trigger animation is something that I really like when it comes to my puppets. I think it is the biggest strength of puppets, that you can create sequences, embed them into your puppet, and then action them whenever you want. Reallusion Cartoon Animator 5 introduces an advanced trigger system which allows users to control animation tempo and facial expressions easily. With the mouse-driven motion pilot, animators can adjust timing dynamically and use the new puppet panel library for quick facial morphs and expression. This is particularly useful for new users. In contrast, Adobe Character Animator requires a manual setup for triggers, such as eyes or mouth elements. While highly customizable, again, it's a bit more time consuming and doesn't support motion puppeteering or advanced VFX like flocking, which you can do with the motion library. So overall, there's pros and cons to both of them. In Cartoon Animator 5, there's a lot of additional features like the motion pilot, which you can do all sorts of different things. It's super impressive, as you can see. Whereas with Cartoon Animator, if you are an animator already and you can pre-make animated sequences, it's really easy to drop them in, and I like the fact that in the timeline it's easy to put them into a swap set, and it's very easy to action with literally just right click. You know, it's like a drag and drop. So both of them have got the pros depending on your level. If you're an amateur or a beginner at animation, then Cartoon Animator 5 is definitely wins. Whereas if you're a professional animator and you just want to find a way to speed up your process of animating, because you don't have to keep on repeating the animation, but you can drag and drop pre-made animations, then Character Animator is the winner. Right, let's talk about 3D control in a 2D software. Right, well straight away Reallusion Cartoon Animator 5 stands out in the animation control for using 3D motion capture. Other than live facial capture from a webcam or iPhone, which users need to purchase separately, Cartoon Animator 5 provides free real-time audio lip sync from a microphone, particularly with its ability to integrate motion capture 3D-like motions into 2D characters. This feature enables animators to create natural movement that might normally take a seasoned animator years to learn how to do, and so can provide new animators the ability to create amazing looking animations. Reallusion supports motion capture right down to individual finger movements, offering exceptional detail for your animations. While a mocap suit might be a significant investment, it's not a necessity to enjoy the benefits of motion capture. Reallusion's marketplace provides an excellent alternative, allowing users to expand their motion library by downloading or purchasing new animations shared by other creators. In comparison, Adobe Character Animator focuses on a more low-cost approach using webcam performance capture, and it's brilliant in this area. It's something that I use a lot. It's smooth, it's a very reliable system that delivers impressive full body actions for characters, making it a strong choice for presenter-based animations. Adobe Character Animator also features an effective warp behavior, though its X, Y and Z system is manual based and it doesn't feature the depth of options offered by Cartoon Animator 5. While Character Animator includes a built-in motion library, it doesn't allow for custom mocap suit integration or access to downloadable motion data. So basically, with motion library in Character Animator, it's got a lot of actions, but those are the only actions that you've got access to. Whereas with Reallusion Cartoon Animator 5, you can make your own motion capture if you've got a mocap suit to use with the program, or you can go to their marketplace and you can download actions that other people have recorded and uploaded, and there's new ones being added to the marketplace all the time. So when it comes to motion capture data to use in your 2D animation, Reallusion offers you a lot more. But when it comes to webcam based, easy to use straight away, actions for your character, then Character Animator is great in this area. So for animators seeking advanced capabilities and 3D motion animation, Reallusion Cartoon Animator 5, it takes the lead. However, for those focused on webcam driven presenter style animation, Adobe Character Animator delivers excellent results without any of the complexity of setting it up. Right, well, let's now talk about reusable assets, because that's one of the pros of using puppets, is that you can create animations or create actions and all that and apply them to multiple characters to speed up your workflow. Reallusion Cartoon Animator 5 excels in character standardization and asset reusability. Its streamlined system allows animators to reuse and interchange animation data across different characters, significantly speeding up the process of creating and rigging new designs. Reusable templates and assets help maintain consistency across projects while reducing setup time. Adobe Character Animator also shines in this area, particularly with its seamless integration of updated graphics. Once a rig is created, though the process can be complex, once you've got a puppet made, it can easily be adapted for other characters by simply swapping out the artwork in the master Photoshop or Illustrator master file. Updates are instant, as changes made to the original artwork automatically update to the Character Animator model. In contrast, Cartoon Animator 5 offers options to update linked Photoshop files, but the process can be a little less instant or intuitive. While you can use the Photoshop linking feature, the reliability of these updates can sometimes vary, and that can be frustrating. Though there is a simple solution. Basically, you just re-import your Photoshop file without any of the rigging done, but on your previous model you can save all your settings and then you just literally reapply those to your new Photoshop file. It's an extra step, but it's not a big one, and it's very easy to do. So, Cartoon Animator 5 strengths. It streamlines reusability with standardized animation data and templates. Whereas Adobe Character Animator, all you need to do is resave your puppet as a new file, and then go into the Photoshop file, change all the graphics, save it, and hey presto, all those changes are updated to your new puppet, though you do need to go in and move some of the bone tools around, but it's pretty quick and easy to do. Yeah, so in regards to scene animation and scene design, this is really one of the areas that Cartoon Animator 5 really shines, because there's a lot that you can do, and also you can have a 3D camera so that you can get that moving around, and you can use a pilot motion with the background designs and everything. So yeah, for scenery design, Cartoon Animator 5 really takes the lead. However, in comparison with Adobe Character Animator, that program is more focused on character animation and less for background animation. Don't get me wrong, you can do a lot with the background, and I have done, but it's a bit more limited. Basically, with that one, you can bring in graphics, and you can only bring in still graphics to place in the background. And there is a camera system, but the camera system is more like zoom in, zoom out, rotate left and right, where with Cartoon Animator 5 you've got a proper 3D camera, so you can really move, well, not only can you move around the puppets, but if you've got things in the background, so imagine if you've got a puppet stood in front, and then behind the puppet you've got a car, and then behind that car you've got a house, you can make the 3D camera go around the puppet, around the house, around the car. You know, you've got full control. Where in Character Animator, you'd literally just be able to zoom in, out, left, right, pivot this way, that way. You can't move around the character. And even though you've got a 2D character, you can obviously make that 2D plane of the character turn towards the puppet in Reallusion. So yeah, when it comes to full scene control, there is a lot that you can do in Cartoon Animator 5, and in comparison there's not as much that you can do in Character Animator. However, will say that I have made lots of animations, and lots of impressive animations in Character Animator. Basically all you do with that one often is that you'll animate the character, and then you'll bring it into a program like After Effects, and then you can play around with a 3D camera, but it just means an extra step. And also, if you're an amateur, you might not know how to use After Effects, whereas if you're learning in a program for the first time, you know, you can do all of this in Cartoon Animator 5. So yeah, scenery design, the winner here is Cartoon Animator 5. However, when it comes to timeline animation, well, let's get into that. The timeline in Reallusion Cartoon Animator 5 offers extensive controls for animating characters, scenes, and triggers. One feature that really stands out is the ability to change the layer order of body parts within a scene, enabling users to create really advanced professional looking animations. And that's great. You know, for example, you know, if you've got a character facing forward, you might have both arms layered behind the body. Whereas if they're walking off scene and you want them to turn, you want that one arm to go from being behind the body to in front of the body. Or you might even just want a hand to go in front of the face. So as the hand comes up behind the body, you want that arm to go in front of the face and no longer be behind the body. The point is, in Cartoon Animator 5, you can in the timeline, you can change the order of the body parts, you know, as you go along. You got full control, and that is something I really love. In Character Animator, you can't really do that. There are ways of hacking it, but it's really complicated. And even myself, who's used the program for a very long time, yeah, it's not easy to set up. So when it comes to, you know, changing layers in the body parts, you know, body part layers, Reallusion is the winner there. However, Cartoon Animator does have a big plus when it comes to their timeline animation. You see, the Cartoon Animator 5 timeline interface can be challenging to master because it has an absence of named keyframes. It's all just like little dot keyframes, and that just results in a screen full of small, indistinguishable dots, which can become really confusing, especially for beginners. It's confusing for me, and I'm not a beginner. So in contrast, Adobe Character Animator really excels with its timeline design, and it's one of the big pluses that keeps me coming back to it. It's one of its greatest strengths. It's clear and it's intuitive because the layout, you can see what you do. The layout is named clearly, and you can go along the different layers for, say, the eyes, the mouth, eyebrows, expressions, and you can just right click and you can pick your pre-made triggers. So drop in happy face here, drop in a sad face there, drop in a wave here. So when you're animating along the timeline, it's really quick. It makes for a really quick, streamlined experience, and it is definitely one of the biggest strengths of the program, and it's one of the things I really tell everybody about when I'm talking about animating in Character Animator. Their interface setup is the clear winner between the two programs. Right, as I mentioned earlier, the thing that really brought me to explore Reallusion Cartoon Animator 5 is this 360 head turn. I think this is a thing that brings a lot of animators to Cartoon Animator 5, because that's one of their most popular demos where you can see the character, doing this full 360 head turn. So yeah, Reallusion Cartoon Animator 5 really stands out as the clear leader when it comes to head turning capabilities. Its tools allow for a smooth, fluid, and most importantly dynamic 3D style head turn that really adds depth and realism to your character. For users of programs like Live 2D, Cartoon Animator 5 presents a really enticing alternative. Not only does it match the advanced parallax features that they're accustomed to in Live 2D, but overall the program surpasses it. By building characters in Reallusion's program, users can unlock the potential for significantly more advanced animation that, as far as I'm aware of, Live 2D doesn't offer. So yeah, Live 2D has the really nice, head parallax that everybody likes, but you can do that in Reallusion and all the other stuff with the, the trigger system, the full scenery animation. It offers users a lot more advanced controls. In comparison, you can do head turns in Adobe Character Animator. You can, get the character to look 3/4, profile, up and down. But to do that, you need to build a new head for each turn. And by building those new heads and all the files that are embedded within those heads, it's making the size of your file significantly bigger, which can lead to lag issues. I have found a workaround where I build turns within one head so that you can play with the parallax to move around the face more, and you can even have things like the nose turn more, and that looks great, but it is still kind of confined to just left and right. You're not going to be able to get the full head turn that you do in Cartoon Animator 5. So yeah, when it comes to full parallax head turn, in this category, Cartoon Animator 5 is the clear winner. But if you are using Adobe Character Animator, you can still do head turns. You do have to hack the system a little bit, and if you want to know how to do that, then check out our videos on YouTube, because I've made a whole bunch of tutorials showing how you can do it. And if there's any confusion, feel free to drop me a message, whether or not that's in the comments, or email us directly at info@digicalpuppets, and I'll be happy to help you out. Right, so last of all, I'm going to cover system updates, like evolution of the program. How does Reallusion compare to Adobe Character Animator? Well, one major advantage of Cartoon Animator is its commitment to regular updates and improvements. Reallusion consistently adds new features, and it does really listen to the community, ensuring that the software remains cutting edge, user friendly, and is continuously developing. So there's always new things coming out for the program, and if customers get in touch and suggest ideas, I have seen the developers really do listen and they integrate it. On the other hand, Adobe Character Animator hasn't seen any significant updates in quite some time. While it remains a solid tool and one that I very much still use on a weekly basis, the lack of new features, it is disappointing, and it may be a concern for users looking for a platform that's going to evolve with, its needs. So yeah, Cartoon Animator 5, it frequently updates and these improvements are driven by the community. Character Animator, it's a great software. It's one that I still use consistently, but I haven't seen any new features added in quite some time. Right, so conclusion. Both of these programs ultimately are great. I use both of them and they work really well. Pros and cons. If you are an amateur, if you're just wanting to get into animation, then the rigging system in Adobe Character Animator can be a bit frustrating. It is complicated if you're building a more advanced puppet. But once you get past that and you've got your puppet made, then its workflow is brilliant. I really like it. You can set up your swap sets and you can just literally, it's almost like drag and drop. Happy face here, characters feeling sad here, wave. You can bank all your actions. It's really easy to use for animating, and I really enjoy how well the camera based motion capture works. And it does also have full body motion. If it's just like straight on, full body motion capture works really well also. So that's great and I use it a lot. However, I do concede that when it comes to a more advanced animation experience, then Reallusion offers a lot more. Its rigging system is dead simple for people that are just getting into animation. You literally build your graphics layers and then you drag your dots where you need them to be. And when it comes into Cartoon Animator 5, it's pretty much ready to go. You've got to tweak it a little bit, but it's dead simple. And then it's got the full 360 head turn that creates a really advanced looking puppet. And as I mentioned earlier, it does have a lot more advanced features such as scenery, your proper 3D camera, your ability to manipulate your puppet. It will allow you to create a much more advanced animation. So, it's one of those. It depends what you're looking for. If you want to really lean into the 3D element of animating, so if you want to use a motion capture suite, or if you want to take motion capture data and apply it to your characters for really advanced movements and characters that can fully turn around, then Reallusion is the way to go. If you want a more presenter based animation, just talking to the camera, once you got your head around rigging the puppet in Adobe Character Animator, then the workflow in that program is great, and I think that one wins there. So yeah, that's my opinion. That is what I think. That is my comparison. Feel free to ask me any questions or for any clarity, and I will happily answer in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I'm Scott Evans. This is Digital Puppets, and I'll see you next time. Bye.